Behind the scenes of this iconic miniseries lies a treasure trove of bizarre secrets. From a tragic death that stunned fans, to Michael Jackson's mysterious vocal restrictions, to Angela Bassett's legendary three-biopic marathon that defied all odds. These shocking revelations will forever change how you view this beloved 90s television event. Fact 1. Tragic death. 1 year later, one of the most heartbreaking stories behind the Jacksons. An American Dream involves the actor who brought adult Michael Jackson to life on screen. Wiley Draper delivered a stunning performance that captured Michael's mannerisms, dance moves, and stage presence so perfectly that viewers were convinced they were watching the real thing. But tragically, he died from a rare form of leukemia on December 20th, 1993, just over 1 year after the miniseries aired on television. He was only 24 years old, and his death received very little media attention at the time, with most people never knowing what happened to the talented young performer who had impressed millions of viewers during the show's original broadcast. What makes this story even more poignant is that Wiley had no idea his time was so limited when he was filming the miniseries in 1992. He was a young man with his whole career ahead of him, having just landed the role of a lifetime portraying one of the most famous entertainers in the world. Born in West Virginia on May 5, 1969, Wiley had been dancing like Michael Jackson since he was 10 years old, performing at local skating rinks where his brother would throw parties. Despite receiving positive reviews and even contributing to the miniseries, winning an Emmy Award for choreography, Wiley struggled to find more acting work after the film aired. He appeared in one small television movie called The Disappearance of Christina, but major roles never materialized. Around 1993, he was diagnosed with leukemia, and he passed away in Los Angeles with very little fanfare, leaving behind a legacy of just one major performance that continues to touch audiences decades later. Fact 2. Michael hired his own actor. Michael Jackson was so impressed with Wiley Draper's portrayal of him in The Jacksons, an American Dream, that he personally hired the young actor to work on one of his own projects. After the miniseries wrapped production and aired on television in November of 1992, Michael brought Wiley onto the set of his music video for Remember the Time, which was one of the biggest productions of his career at that point. This wasn't just a small background role either, as Wiley was hired as one of the featured dancers in the elaborate Egyptian-themed video that starred Eddie Murphy, Iman, and Magic Johnson. The fact that Michael handpicked Wiley for this opportunity shows just how much he respected the actor's work and his ability to capture Michael's signature dance moves and stage presence. What makes this even more meaningful is that Michael Jackson had approval over the 3 actors who would play him at different ages in the miniseries, and he had personally signed off on Wiley's casting before filming even began. Clearly, Michael saw something special in Wiley's abilities, and hiring him for Remember the Time was his way of showing continued support for the young performer's career. The music video was filmed during the same period when Wiley was trying to break into Hollywood and establish himself as a legitimate actor and dancer beyond just the Jackson miniseries. Being chosen by Michael Jackson himself to appear in such a high-profile music video should have been a major stepping stone for Wiley's career, giving him valuable exposure and credibility in the entertainment industry. It demonstrated that Michael didn't just tolerate the portrayal of himself in the miniseries, but actively embraced it and wanted to work with the talented young man who had brought his story to life on screen. Fact 3. Empire Star's secret debut. Before Terrence Howard became a household name playing Luscious Lion on the hit television series Empire, or starring as James Rhodes in the first Iron Man movie, he was getting his very first major break as an actor in The Jacksons, an American Dream. The miniseries marked Terrence Howard's professional acting debut, where he played the older version of Jackie Jackson, the eldest brother in the Jackson 5. At the time of filming in 1992, Howard was a 23-year-old unknown actor who had been discovered by a casting agent while simply walking the streets of New York City, which set his entire acting career into motion. This role in the Jackson miniseries became the launching pad for what would turn into one of the most successful acting careers to come out of the 1990s. Howard's path to this breakthrough role was far from easy, as he had endured a difficult childhood in Cleveland, Ohio, where he was raised primarily by his great-grandmother, who happened to be a respected stage actress named Minnie Gentry. She introduced young Terrence to the world of acting and performance, planting the seeds for his future career. Playing Jackie Jackson gave Howard valuable experience working on a major television production alongside established actors like Angela Bassett and Billy D. Williams, and it opened doors that would lead to his first significant film roles in 1995 with Mr. Holland's Opus and Dead Presidents. From there, his career steadily climbed through acclaimed performances in movies like Hustle and Flow, Crash, and eventually blockbuster franchises, making it fascinating to look back and see where it all began with this Jackson family biopic that aired on ABC over 30 years ago. Fact 4. Real son played his father. In one of the most unusual casting decisions in the entire miniseries, Jermaine Jackson Jr. was chosen to portray the younger version of his own father, Jermaine Jackson, during the early years of the Jackson 5. This meant that viewers were actually watching Jermaine's real-life son playing him as a young boy and teenager, which created an incredibly authentic resemblance that many people didn't even realize was happening. The physical similarities between father and son were so striking that numerous viewers assumed they had simply found an actor who happened to look exactly like young Jermaine, never suspecting that they were watching an actual member of the Jackson family portraying his own dad on screen. Jermaine Jackson Sr. was also one of the producers of the miniseries alongside his partner Margaret Maldonado Jackson, which explains how this unique casting arrangement came about in the first place. Having direct input into the production gave Jermaine the opportunity to cast his son in the role, and it turned out to be a smart decision because Jermaine Jr. naturally understood his father's mannerisms, speaking style, and personality traits in ways that no other actor could have captured. Some viewers who watched the miniseries reported not knowing this casting detail until years later, and they were shocked to discover that the resemblance wasn't just good casting, but actual genetics at work. The decision added an extra layer of authenticity to the production, as the miniseries was telling the real story of the Jackson family, and having an actual Jackson family member in the cast made those scenes feel even more genuine and connected to the true history being portrayed on screen. Fact 5. Angela Bassett's insane triple feature. Angela Bassett accomplished one of the most remarkable acting feats in Hollywood history by filming 3 major biographical projects, essentially back-to-back during 1992 and 1993. She played Katherine Jackson in The Jacksons, an American Dream miniseries, then portrayed Betty Shabazz in Spike Lee's Malcolm X, and immediately followed that with her Oscar-nominated performance as Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It. This meant that Bassett was embodying 3 completely different iconic women within the span of roughly 1 year, switching between the mother of the Jackson family, the wife of civil rights leader Malcolm X, and one of music's greatest performers without any significant break between projects. The timing of these productions was particularly intense because The Jacksons, an American Dream premiered on ABC television in the same week that Malcolm X was released in theaters in November of 1992. After finishing her work on Malcolm X, Bassett returned to Los Angeles and immediately got a call to audition for the Tina Turner role, which she won over other actresses, including Halle Berry and Robin Givens. However, she had only 1 month to prepare before filming began in December of 1992, which meant learning how to talk, move, and dance like Tina Turner in an incredibly short time frame. At the time, Bassett worried that after playing Betty Shabazz, she would never find another role as satisfying, telling reporters she believed her career would be all downhill from there. Instead, this incredible run of performances established her as one of the most talented and versatile actresses of her generation, cementing her status in Hollywood for decades to come. Fact 6. The wrong hand glove. Mistake one of the most noticeable continuity errors in The Jacksons. An American Dream involves Michael Jackson's iconic single glittery glove during a crucial performance scene. In the miniseries, when the actor portraying Michael performs his solo number for Motown executives, the famous sparkling glove is clearly visible on his right hand, but anyone familiar with Michael Jackson's actual performances knows that he always wore the glove on his left hand throughout his entire career. This mistake is particularly glaring because the glove became one of Michael's most recognizable trademark accessories, and millions of fans around the world would instantly notice which hand was supposed to be wearing it. The error likely occurred because the scene required multiple takes and camera angles, and at some point during filming, someone in the costume or continuity department either put the glove on the wrong hand or failed to catch the mistake before the scene was finalized. What makes this continuity error even more surprising is that Michael Jackson himself had approval over the actors playing him and was involved in the production to some degree, yet this glove placement mistake made it into the final cut that aired on national television. The glove first became famous during Michael's performance of Billie Jean at the Motown 25 special in 1983, and from that moment forward, it was always worn on his left hand as part of his signature look. Despite this obvious mistake, the miniseries remains beloved by fans, and most viewers either didn't notice the error or were willing to overlook it, given the overall quality of the production and performances throughout the film. Fact 7. Pittsburgh stood in for Gary. The Jacksons, An American Dream, was actually filmed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for 4 weeks, even though the story takes place primarily in Gary, Indiana, where the Jackson family actually lived during their early years. The executive producers Stan Margulies and Suzanne DePass chose Pittsburgh for both practical and economic reasons, as the city's working-class neighborhoods and industrial environments could convincingly double for Gary during the 1950s and 60s without requiring expensive set construction or extensive location changes. Pittsburgh's steel town atmosphere and blue-collar residential areas provided the perfect backdrop for depicting the Jackson family's humble beginnings in the Midwest, and the city also offered financial incentives that helped keep the production within budget. The production team spent those 4 weeks filming all the Gary, Indiana scenes in Pittsburgh's proletarian neighborhoods before moving to Los Angeles for another month of work to complete the remaining portions of the miniseries. Director Karen Arthur had previously filmed her feature film Lady Beware in Pittsburgh, so she was already familiar with the city and knew exactly which locations would work best for recreating the Jackson family's early environment. The choice proved successful, as viewers watching the miniseries had no idea they were looking at Pittsburgh rather than the actual city where the Jacksons grew up. The steel mills, modest houses, and working-class streets of Pittsburgh provided such an authentic representation of 1960s Gary that it became impossible to tell the difference, demonstrating how sometimes the best location for filming isn't necessarily the real place where events occurred, but rather wherever can most effectively capture the spirit and atmosphere of that time and place. Fact 8. Diana Ross, Discovery Myth, Busted. The Jacksons, An American Dream, contained a major revelation that contradicted decades of public belief about how the Jackson 5 got their big break at Motown Records. The miniseries revealed that Bobby Taylor, a Motown artist who led the group Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers, was the person who actually discovered the Jackson 5, not Diana Ross, as had been widely reported and believed for years. Bobby Taylor saw the young Jackson brothers performing as an opening act for his band at the Regal Theater in Chicago in 1968, and he was so impressed by their talent, especially young Michael's abilities, that he arranged for them to audition for Berry Gordy and other Motown executives, which eventually led to their record deal. The story about Diana Ross discovering the group had been part of Motown's carefully crafted marketing and promotional campaign from the very beginning, designed to create a more romantic and marketable narrative for launching the Jackson 5's career. Motown even titled their debut album Diana Ross Presents the Jackson 5 to reinforce this fabricated story, and Ross wrote the liner notes on the back cover suggesting she had found them. Berry Gordy asked Diana Ross to present the group to the public in concerts and on television, which helped launch both the Jackson 5's career and Ross's solo career simultaneously, making it a beneficial arrangement for everyone involved. The miniseries scriptwriter Joyce Eliason included this revelation as part of her well-researched script, finally giving Bobby Taylor the credit he deserved for bringing one of music's most successful groups to the attention of Motown Records and changing pop music history forever. Fact 9. Michael shivered 2 years off his age. The Jacksons, An American Dream, didn't shy away from revealing some of the manipulative tactics used in the music industry, including a scene where Suzanne DePass, a powerful Motown executive, instructs young Michael Jackson to shave 2 years off his actual age for publicity purposes. In the miniseries, DePass tells Michael that he's cuter at 9 years old than he is at 11, making it clear that the record label wanted to present him as younger to maximize his appeal as a child star and create a more marketable image for the group. This meant that Michael would have to lie about his age in interviews and promotional materials, which became part of his public persona for years to come. Suzanne DePass was a real executive at Motown who worked closely with the Jackson 5 during their formative years, handling everything from choreography to their touring needs, and she served as one of the producers on this miniseries alongside Jermaine Jackson. Having DePass involved in the production meant that these behind-the-scenes details could be included authentically, as she was there when these decisions were being made at Motown headquarters. The age manipulation was a common practice in the entertainment industry at the time, as record labels believed that younger child stars generated more sympathy and interest from audiences, especially young fans who could relate to performers close to their own age. By including this scene in the miniseries, the filmmakers showed viewers that even at the height of their success, the Jackson 5 were being carefully controlled and packaged by Motown, with decisions about their public image being made by executives rather than the family themselves. Fact 10. The Simpsons Connection. There's a surprising connection between the Jacksons, An American Dream, and one of the most famous episodes of The Simpsons that involves the same voice performer being used for both projects. Kip Lennon, a professional singer and musician, provided the singing voice for the teenage and adult versions of Michael Jackson in certain songs throughout the miniseries, and just 1 year earlier in 1991, he had performed the exact same role for the Simpsons episode called Stark Raving Dad. In that legendary Simpsons episode, Michael Jackson himself provided the speaking voice for a character named Leon Kompowski, who believed he was Michael Jackson, but due to contractual restrictions with his record label at the time, Michael wasn't allowed to sing on the show, so the producers hired Kip Lennon to perform all the musical numbers, including the famous Happy Birthday Lisa song that Michael had written specifically for the episode. Kip Lennon had built a reputation as an incredibly talented Michael Jackson sound-alike, and he was actually handpicked by Michael Jackson himself for the Simpsons role, which shows just how much Michael trusted his abilities to replicate his vocal style. When it came time to produce the Jacksons' An American Dream miniseries, the production team turned to Kip Lennon once again because they needed someone who could convincingly sing like Michael Jackson for scenes where the original recordings weren't being used. This meant that Kip Lennon became one of the few people in entertainment history to officially provide Michael Jackson's singing voice for two completely different high-profile television projects, cementing his unique place in pop culture history as the go-to performer when Michael's actual voice couldn't be used. Fact 11. Michael personally chose. Angela Bassett, Michael Jackson, had direct input into the casting decisions for the Jacksons, An American Dream, and he made it clear that he wanted Angela Bassett to play his mother, Katherine Jackson, in the miniseries. Michael specifically requested a beautiful actress for the role of his mother, and when he saw Angela Bassett's work, he knew she was perfect for the part and personally approved her casting. However, this decision came at a complicated time because Angela was in the middle of auditioning for the project when her agents called her with concerning advice, telling her that there were allegations about Michael Jackson in the press, and they didn't think she should take on this project at all. This warning from her agents created a difficult situation for Angela Bassett, who had been a lifelong fan of the Jackson family and their music growing up. She remembered idolizing the group as a child and believed that the Jackson family represented positive influences on the African American community through their incredible successes in the music industry. Despite the warnings from her representatives, Angela decided to trust her instincts and accept the role of Katherine Jackson. later saying that she didn't care about the negative views some people had of the Jackson family at that time. Her decision proved to be the right one, as her performance received widespread critical acclaim and the miniseries became one of the most successful television events of 1992. Angela's portrayal of Katherine Jackson as a strong, loving mother who held the family together through difficult times became one of the most praised aspects of the entire production, validating both Michael's choice and Angela's decision to ignore her agent's concerns. Fact 12. Berry Gordy begged Michael to perform one of the most surprising revelations in the Jacksons. An American Dream was the behind-the-scenes story of how the legendary Motown 25 performance almost didn't happen. The miniseries showed that Berry Gordy, the founder and CEO of Motown Records, had to virtually beg Michael Jackson to join his brothers on stage for the special television event in 1983. By that point in his career, Michael had become a massive solo superstar with the success of his Thriller album, and he was reluctant to reunite with his brothers for what was essentially a nostalgia performance looking back at Motown's glory days. The Motown 25 special became one of the most iconic moments in television history, particularly because of Michael's solo performance of Billie Jean, where he debuted the moonwalk dance move to a stunned audience. However, according to the miniseries, getting Michael to agree to participate required significant effort and persuasion from Berry Gordy himself, as Michael had moved beyond his Jackson 5 days and was focused on his solo career at that time. The tension between Michael's desire to establish himself as an independent artist and the pressure to honor his family's history with Motown created a difficult situation that required delicate negotiation. This revelation showed viewers that even performances that seemed like natural reunions were actually the result of complicated business discussions and personal conflicts behind the scenes. The fact that Berry Gordy had to essentially plead with Michael to appear demonstrates just how far Michael had risen as a solo artist and how much power dynamics had shifted since the days when Motown controlled every aspect of the Jackson 5's career. Fact 13. Record-breaking 38 million viewers. The Jacksons, An American Dream became a massive television event that attracted staggering viewership numbers when it aired on ABC in November of 1992. Part 2 of the miniseries, which aired on November 18th, was watched by 38.4 million viewers in 22.3 million households, making it the highest-rated program broadcast during the week of November 16th through 22nd. The miniseries achieved a 23.9 rating with a 36 share, which means that more than one-third of all households watching television at that time were tuned into the Jackson family's story, demonstrating just how captivated American audiences were by this biographical drama. Overall, the two-part miniseries was watched in 38.3 million households and posted a 22.3 rating with a 33 share across both nights of its broadcast. Part 1 of the miniseries had already performed extremely well, coming in as the third highest-rated program during the week of November 9th through 15th with a 21.1 rating. These viewership numbers made The Jacksons, An American Dream one of the most popular and successful music biography miniseries of the entire 1990s decade, proving that audiences had an enormous appetite for stories about musical icons and the Jackson family's journey from poverty to superstardom. The miniseries continued to be rebroadcast frequently on networks like VH1, BET, and TV1 in the years that followed, especially after Michael Jackson's death in 2009, when interest in the Jackson family's history reached new heights and introduced the film to entirely new generations of viewers. Fact 14. The mysterious vocal disclaimer. If you watch The Jacksons, An American Dream all the way through to the end credits, you'll notice an unusual disclaimer written in extremely tiny print that addresses a peculiar legal issue involving Michael Jackson's voice. The disclaimer states that vocals performed by actors portraying Michael Jackson are not intended as simulations of his actual voice, which is an oddly specific statement that exists due to contractual restrictions Michael had with his record company at the time the miniseries was being produced. This legal language was necessary because the production used various performers to provide Michael's singing voice throughout different parts of the film, including actors Jason Weaver, Anthony Harrell, and Kip Lennon, depending on which age group was being portrayed and which songs were being performed. The miniseries featured a complicated mix of audio elements, as some scenes used authentic Michael Jackson vocals lifted directly from his actual recordings, while other scenes required new vocal performances from the actors and singers who were standing in for him. Michael's record label wanted to make it absolutely clear that when viewers heard someone other than the real Michael Jackson singing, those performances were separate interpretations by different artists, rather than attempts to perfectly mimic or simulate Michael's distinctive vocal style and sound. This distinction was legally important because it protected both the production and Michael's recording contracts from potential conflicts or claims that unauthorized vocal simulations were being used without proper permissions. The fact that this disclaimer was printed in such small type at the very end of the credits suggests that it was included purely for legal protection rather than as information the producers expected viewers to actually read or notice. Fact 15. Guitar appears before it's given. The Jacksons, An American Dream, contains a significant continuity error involving one of the most important objects in the Jackson family's musical origin story, which is the guitar that belonged to Joe Jackson. In an early scene showing the children singing while cleaning the house, young Tito is clearly visible picking up and playing an electric guitar. But this happened several scenes before the moment when Joe Jackson is supposed to give that same guitar to Tito for the first time. This timeline mistake creates a confusing situation where Tito somehow has access to his father's prized instrument before the pivotal moment when he's actually allowed to touch it, which was an important part of the real Jackson family history. The guitar incident was a crucial turning point in the Jackson family story because Joe Jackson was very protective of his musical instruments and didn't want his children playing with them without permission. In the actual historical events, Tito sneaking his father's guitar without asking and accidentally breaking a string led to Joe discovering that his sons had musical talent, which eventually inspired him to form them into a performing group. The fact that the miniseries shows Tito playing the guitar before this important discovery scene undermines the dramatic impact of that storyline and reveals a lack of attention to detail during either the filming process or the editing stage. This type of continuity error likely occurred because scenes were filmed out of order for scheduling or location reasons, and someone in the production team failed to catch the mistake before the final version aired on national television to millions of viewers.